We're going live.
No. We'll do it live.
This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
Okay. Who the hell's cutting all those goddamn onions? Man. For those listening to the replay on audio, that opening was a tribute to my dog. We had to put her down on Monday. She was losing her battle with diabetes, so it was time. If you guys are watching the replay on YouTube, you probably heard the intro with some lame royalty-free song. I originally played Let Her Go by Passenger Live, but YouTube is strict with that copyright stuff. So I guarantee I had to change that in post. But that sort of thing is a good reason to watch live because I can play wherever the hell I want live and then fix it on the back end. If you guys are new to my channel, my name is Paul Bauer, and I help men level up and get better with women. And the funny thing about doing that is it tends to make us better men in all areas of our lives. Today, we're going over chapter 2 in my book, Get Her to F You Again. That chapter is all about taking charge with the male action plan, or the MAP. And if you're not familiar with the MAP concept came from this book, actually, The Married Man's Sex Life Primer. Unfortunately, The Married Man's Sex Life Primer is a phenomenal book, but it's not available in audio. And so I kind of wanted to take what Athol did and expand on it, add concepts from some other thought leaders, like Dr. Robert Glover and, things from Practical Female Psychology and Corey Wayne and Christopher Canwell. And so I packed a lot of what Athol did and I updated it for modern time, and it is now available on audio. It just became available last night. So if you've been waiting for the audio, the Audible edition of Get Her to F You Again, you can get it now. If you go to books.comeonmanpod.com, it'll take you to my author's page on Amazon, but you can find the Audible edition there. But the MAP concept stands for the Male Action Plan, and it's just a proven method of reestablishing attraction in your relationship. And we're going to get into that a little bit more today. Before we do be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications. We do have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, like clockwork, no matter what's going on in our lives. If you guys are watching live right now, do sound off in the live chat. I appreciate that. And then do consider sending super chats if you find the information in these episodes valuable. I know y'all have the money. Y'all send in $500 super chats to these 304s out here. I'm not asking for that, but if you're finding value in these episodes, definitely consider sending a ducat or two. So the Male Action Plan, like I said, we're going to be going over chapter 2. I'm not going to read it to you, but I am going to go over the concepts. I do want you to get the book, Get Her to F You Again, even if you're not in a dead bedroom situation, right? Like if things are sort of, pretty good in your relationship, but they could be better. Like this will help you with your just a long-term relationship stuff in general. But it's really designed for guys taking their power back in their relationships. So the Male Action Plan, it's really a comprehensive approach, right? What it's doing is it's targeting the men, right? It's targeting the guy in the relationship, because you got to understand you can't change your wife, right? You can only change yourself. So it really targets working on your fitness, your finances, your social life, and inner confidence to reshape your overall presence in the relationship, right? And if you look at it that way, it's very similar to what John MLD talks about, right? Your muscles, money, game, and frame. That's really what you're working on. You're trying to level up in all those areas. And it's about long-term commitment. You can't just do this for a couple of months and expect great results. Like this is something that you have to commit to a habit going forward in your life. So it really focuses on consistent self-improvement rather than quick fixes, and that's a big problem with marriage counseling. I think, marriage counseling really, it's all about quick fixes. The focus is on communication and dealing with conflict and stuff like that. But that's only a part of the problem. The underlying reason why your wife doesn't want to bang you anymore is because it's an attraction issue. And a lot of our attraction issues, are because we've let ourselves go physical appearance wise. And then we've also, started slacking off in other areas of our life. We're not leading like we're supposed to. We're not, being a guy that she looks up to, all that kind of stuff is required for attraction to take place if you understand women's hypergamous nature. And then the core outcome of that is to become a thriving, respected, and attractive man who leads with strength at the end of the day, right? But fitness is a core foundation of it. It's like one of the first things you start working on with the map, because it demonstrates self-care, it demonstrates discipline, and the capability to lead and protect, right? It's also like you get visible results relatively quickly, after a month of eating right, you're going to notice like that you've shed a few pounds and that your clothes are fitting a little bit looser, you start seeing results right away. It's easily measurable. And then on top of that, not only do you see the results, but your wife starts seeing these results, and then it creates a ripple effect into everything else. You've got your improved physical health, which enhances your mental energy. That enhances your confidence, right? If you look good, you feel good, right? If you feel good, you do good. And it gives you some resilience. Not to mention biological attraction, right? Women are naturally drawn to strength and vitality as indicators of masculine strength. If you read, I didn't incorporate his stuff in here, but if you ever read The Unplugged Alpha by Rich Cooper, he talks about physical fitness, and he talks about what he calls the golden ratio, which is your hips to shoulder ratio, right? And there's like a magical number there that they figured out that the math nerds have figured out over time, that they know exactly like how wide your shoulders need to be compared to your hips for women to find you attractive. And they call that the golden ratio. So if you want to look into that, you could find that on like you could Google what the golden ratio is, and then measure your hips to your shoulders. Then you have a goal to work on, right? But yeah, I mean, think about that, right? Women, like you might hear women say, oh, they don't really care about looks that much. But if you, one of the things that Corey Wayne says in How to Be a 3% Man is, if you ask a woman like, hey, what would you date that guy, right? And point to some random guy across the room, she'll be like, oh, he's not my type, right? Well, how do you know he's not your type? By just looking at him across the room? It's because of his physical appearance. You know what I mean? So yeah, women are sort of, they are, physical appearance definitely plays a factor, definitely plays a factor. And if you've let yourself go, like if you look at old pictures of me, that montage video that I played there at the beginning, my kids and I were looking at old photos and videos that we did with the dog. And when we first got that dog, I was such a fat ass. Yeah, we didn't notice I didn't show any of those images of myself back when we first got her. Well, we did, like right at the beginning where I'm holding her. That was the day we adopted her from the pound. I was fat there. You know what I mean? That definitely contributed to the end of my marriage. And the thing was I would yo-yo diet all throughout my marriage. I would go on these crash diets. I wouldn't be happy with the way I looked, and I'd lose all the weight. My wife would be happy for a while, and then we'd go on vacation, and she would convince me, you don't have to work out. Like, let's relax. We're on vacation, right? And I can blame her for that, but it was really me going along with it, right? And then what would happen was we would be, gone for a week, and we'd come back, and the last thing I wanted to do when we came back was work out. And then next thing I know, 4 years would go by, and I would put on 50 pounds. So I finally decided to end that cycle. But like a dumbass, I waited until after the divorce to do that. It's like, don't wait until after you get divorced to learn your lesson with that. Like take control of that now. Okay. Take control of that now. Make a promise to yourself now. All right, let's see here. Kamal sent a 23.99 euros super chat. Had to get you demonetized. No apologies. All right, fair enough. I appreciate it, man. You obviously get the booty shake video.
Super chat with see you there. Shake it, dance without a care. Send it love from everywhere. Groovy beats we all can share. Your support is so divine. Moving closer to the line. Thank you, you're the best. Party on, we never rest.
Now y'all just trying to make me cry. All right. CW sent a $5 super chat. Hard times come and go. Strong men persevere through it. You are one of those men, bro. You got this, and you're never alone. Beer Club's got you. Appreciate that, man. You get the bouncing bubs.
Thank you for the super chats. Boobies bouncing, can't stop that. From the east to the west, you are the best. Keep those chats coming in, let's do it all again.
All right, guys, follow me on social media. The links are in the description. I'm on all the good platforms. Get on the email list.comeonmanpod.com and get my free ebook, She's Made You Weak. Explains the betaization process. But I've had some people say, well, okay, that explains the process, but it doesn't really tell you how to fix it. I mean, it does if you read between the lines, but if you really want a guide on how to fix it, get my new book, Get Her to Fuck You Again. If you go to books.comeonmanpod.com, you can get that. It's now available on Audible. So check that out. Although Audible put like it's Get Her to F-K You Again, but you can just look for Paul Bauer on Audible and you'll find it. Let me play a commercial for that, and then we'll get back to the topic today.
Are you tired of the dead bedroom? Wondering what happened to the passion, the connection, and the spark? Well, here's your answer. Introducing Get Her to Fuck You Again, a red pill guide to fix a dead bedroom, now on Amazon. This isn't about manipulation or tricks. It's about real strategies that work. If your wife has stopped being intimate with you, it's not because the love is gone. It's because the attraction is gone. And that's fixable. This book will teach you the skills to lead your marriage, rebuild your confidence, and become the man she can't stop thinking about. 3 reasons to get this book. 1. It breaks the cycle. You'll learn how to stop doing the same things that are killing her attraction and start doing the things that reignite it. 2. It's practical and proven. With clear, actionable steps, you'll build yourself into the man you were always meant to be. 3. It works for men like you. Paul Bauer has helped hundreds of men just like you fix their dead bedrooms. And now, it's your turn. Don't let another day go by feeling frustrated and disconnected. Go to Amazon right now and buy Get Her to Fuck You Again. Read it, apply it, and watch your marriage transform. The connection isn't gone forever. You just need the roadmap to get it back. And this book is it.
All right. The next concept here is, and we're going through chapter 2 of Get Her to F You Again, right? The next concept here is financial stability. It was awesome. I had a coaching call this morning with one of my clients, and week 5 is all about financial stability and financial leadership, and basically taking back control of your finances. Because what a lot of guys do is they will let their wives handle the finances, right? They bring in all the money and they let their wives spend it all. And so one of the things that I have guys do is take back control. Take back the control of the purse strings and start managing your money, get out of debt, start learning how to budget, start setting, those financial goals for yourself. And man, my call this morning was short because my man was on lock. He's one of the very few guys is completely debt free. He owns his house outright, right? And he and his wife both make good money, and they just, you know, he probably has 3 years. He said 3 years worth of emergency funds, you know, in savings and stuff. I'm like, dude, I guess it's going to be a short call today, bro, because like most guys aren't like that. Most guys have like $20,000, $30,000 in credit card debt. They have car payments. They have no savings. They have like, if they have a financial crisis, it goes on the credit card. And it's like, no. If you can get a handle of your finances, if you could take the lead in that area, get out from under all that debt, man, like, it just relieves so much unnecessary tension in the relationship. A lot of, fights and divorces happen over finances. People get mad over money. And so if you can take control over that, your marriage is going to be much smoother. It's one less thing you have to worry about, right? So it gives you freedom from stress. Financial independence creates mental clarity and a peace of mind. It's not just about being responsible. It's about not have to be awake at night wondering how you're going to pay the bills. It also gives women security signals, right? Financial competence fulfills a biological need for stability and leadership. In the caveman days, it was like, can you go out and hunt and bring food back to the cave? Well, in modern days, it's like, well, can you pay the bills? That's a security signal for women, right? But I'll tell you this, and I will say this till I'm blue in the face. Being good with money, being able to make a lot of money, all that kind of stuff, that's the beta side of hypergamy. That by itself won't get your wife to want to bang you again, but it does relieve the stress off of her. And then you can focus on the other areas that do boost her sexual attraction to you, right? And then it also boosts your confidence, right? Being financially secure reinforces decisiveness and independence. Those qualities are alpha qualities that will make your wife want to bang you again, right? So just like setting the tone and leading in that environment will make your wife just relax more into her feminine, okay? The next concept is social life and independence. This is where, when you look at muscles, money, game, and frame, this is game, right? Game is essentially being like having social skills, right? Being able to talk to people and getting people to like you. That's game, right? So social life and independence. So you're one of the things that we teach guys is to avoid isolation. A lot of guys isolate themselves in their marriage, right? They let go of all their friend circles and they think that their wife wants them to, to put their full attention on her, and she doesn't. She actually wants you to have a social life outside of her. And the more you do, the more you like walk around, learn how to talk to people, talk to strangers, the more you become more of a social butterfly, the more attracted she's going to be to you. It goes back to the dating psychology. When you're out dating and you're a guy who has a good circle of friends, even like if girls like you, right, that gives you social proof. If women like you, that gives you pre-selection signals. Like women like that kind of stuff. They like a guy that other people like. Right. So you can't be isolated. You gotta create a social life for yourself and create emotional independence from your wife. Okay. You can't just she can't be your sole source of, social interaction. You got to have a little bit of individuality, right? Engaging with others keeps you well-rounded and grounded. One of the big things that I learned from Dating Essentials for Men by Dr. Robert Glover, there's a lot of Dating Essentials for Men in Get Her to Fuck You Again. One of the things I learned from Dr. Robert Glover is a big problem in relationships is this concept of fusion, right? When you spend a lot of time with the same person, your personalities start fusing together, and you stop being the individual that she was attracted to, and your personalities start merging, and now you're not the same person anymore. So you have to actively work to prevent fusion from happening. in the relationship to keep that polarity and keep that attraction going. And then it creates attraction through engagement, right? Social activity reflects confidence, assertiveness, and value. You know, all good qualities that women like, but guys give up on when they're married. They think that oh no, I'm married. This is my life now. I can't have my own life now. It's our life now. And it's like, no, because you'll find that your wife still has friends and shit. You're the only one not having friends. So you got to fix that. You got to fix that. Speaking of friends, a good place that I recommend you join if you don't have friends outside your marriage is get in beer club, right? beer.comeonmanpod.com. Great group of dudes, great place to swap notes and chat it up with the guys. Almost all the guys in the chat right now are all beer club brothers. We have our monthly meetup tomorrow night, Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So if you've been thinking about joining the group, now's a good time to do it. Go to beer.comeonmanpod.com. You can sign up for a free trial. Join us tomorrow night on the call. If you like it, hang out in the group, stay in there. If you don't like it, cancel before you get charged. No harm, no foul. Okay. But most guys that join the free trial stay on board. They like it. They find a lot of value in Beer Club. And then guys, if you need help with this stuff, if you get the book, you get the book on audio, you get the paperback or hardcover or whatever, the Kindle edition, and you're going through it and you're just struggling, right? You just don't know how to apply the principles. Like, that's okay. Like, not everybody, I would venture to say maybe like 3 to 5% of the male population can take a book and run with it, right? And truly run with it and make changes in their lives. Very small amount of guys can do that. And then, probably another 15% of guys, they'll actually go, okay, they'll take some ownership of that. And they'll say, I need some professional help. If that's you, that's okay. Book a free call with me. Let's talk about your individual situation, right? Go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com. And, if I can help you out, I'll show you what that looks like. If I can't, I'll at least point you in the right direction. But, if you get the book and you just can't figure it out, like, don't just quit. Okay. Don't just quit, especially if your marriage is that important to you. Okay. For a lot of guys, it is important. It's important. So let's fix it, right? So book a call with me. Go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com. All right. The next concept here is inner confidence. Inner confidence, and this is frame, right? Confidence will come from your frame, but also confidence will come from the more you interact with your wife and you start seeing all this stuff working. That's going to give you a confidence boost too, right? But inner confidence is the foundation of attraction, right? Genuine confidence signals competence and security. That's why women are hardwired to be attracted to a man that's bold and a man that's confident. Just like we're hardwired to get a buzz when we see a great pair of tits. Women are the same way when it comes to a very confident man. And one of the reasons why, if you look at their evolutionary psychology, is because it signals that you can handle yourself, right? You can handle life's challenges. You're a confident guy. You can acquire resources. Generally, people that can acquire resources are confident people, And so that's why women, it's a part of their evolutionary wiring. But it also allows you to self-validate, right? If you're confident, you're able to validate yourself. And a big attraction killer is guys are seeking approval and validation from their wives. That kills attraction like so fast. You know what I mean? Like, women it makes you just seem weak and needy, right? But if you're a confident guy, you're going to know your worth, and you're going to be living with a purpose, and you're not going to need that external approval. You already know you're a badass, right? And that will give you some quiet strength. Leadership is reinforced through calm, decisive, and grounded behavior. You don't need people giving you attaboys to know that you're doing a good job. This chapter really focuses on the power of self-improvement, right? Now, one thing that I'll say this, Ryan Stone, I never thought about this until I read his first book, Fuck Files. But he has a whole chapter on there on how self-help is mental masturbation. And it can be. right? If a lot of people get addicted to self-help books because they just are like, listening to these different books on repeat, but they're never applying the information. If you're just listening to these books to listen to them, it is mental masturbation. It's not really doing you any good, But these self-help books, when you take them and run with them and apply the information and test it out in your own life, like they could be a very valuable tool, But self-improvement in general, it shifts the relationship dynamic because working on yourself, it restores masculine polarity and really reignites that attraction. And that's what happens is when you lose that polarity in the relationship, when you start getting these blurred lines between who's the masculine, who's the feminine. And I'll tell you what, if your wife is making all the decisions, if you're, asking her where you want to go eat for dinner, you're putting her in her masculine, and that causes attraction to fade. You need those masculine feminine energies, which are meant to complement each other, in order for that attraction to be there. But if you're both acting like the man, or if you're both acting like the woman, attraction fades. The funny thing is that in like gay and lesbian relationships, they usually have that understanding. There's usually a top and a bottom. There's usually a butch and a femme. You know what I mean? Like they sort of understand that. But in heterosexual relationships, society has told us that we're all supposed to be equals. Well, you got to abandon that concept that she's your equal partner in the relationship. It's not an equal partnership. Okay. You're the man, she's the woman, you're the leader, she supports your mission, right? You are going to start leading by example. So self-improvement inspires respect and admiration from your wife because you are now being decisive, you are being assertive, you are setting boundaries, you are taking the lead, right? You're also providing structure to the relationship. A good structure around the relationship, that having that kind of structure, because women are chaotic, right? The feminine energy is chaos, but masculine energy provides structure. And that structure, because she can't do it because she's a whammon, that structure provides security. And women are security-seeking creatures at the end of the day. And it creates a compound effect. So progress in one area, fitness, for instance, that boosts performance in other areas like finance and confidence and social skills. It all starts to domino, right? It all just starts to build on each other over time. You have attraction through momentum. So this whole process, the whole process of the map, is designed to build momentum, right? Once you it starts out hard because let's say you haven't worked out in 15 years, like that starts out being hard, but the more you get good at it, and the more you start taking the lead in various areas of your life, the easier it gets. And then it creates a sort of a domino effect or a snowball effect. So it's a dynamic process. Continuous improvement keeps attraction fresh and exciting. That's one of the cool things about this, right? When you make this a part of who you are, a part of making self-improvement a part of your mission, a part of who you are, and you're always striving to be the best version of yourself, it keeps your wife on her toes a little bit, because she's like, what's this guy going to do next? Like he's always like raising the bar. He's always raising the bar, that keeps her guessing. That keeps you a mystery. That mystery boosts attraction. It also creates a positive feedback loop. So progress in one area amplifies confidence and performance in others. So as you do good in this area, now your mission is to I'm going to start working on this area here. And when you start doing good there, that it just keeps you motivated, keeps you wanting to keep doing better, right? Positive feedback loop. Now, the hard part about all of this is you've got to avoid stagnation. A lot of guys, and I've been saying this for years, a lot of guys will read, a book like, say, Corey Wayne's How to Be a 3% Man, and they'll read it 10 to 15 times. And then they'll read it just long enough to get into a relationship, to get with a girl, right? To get their girlfriend. And then they'll stop reading it. They'll stop reading it and they think that they've got it. Well, you can't undo 20, 30, 40 years of bad programming with just a couple of reads, right? You've got to keep it fresh on your mind. You have to at least revisit it once a year. After that, revisit the material. And at the end of this book, I invite you to read this 10 to 15 times, but don't stop there. Like if you start seeing noticeable improvements in your relationship, at least revisit it once a year. You know what I mean? That will help you avoid complacency because it will always be on the, in your mind somewhere. You'll always be thinking about this sort of thing. So you really want to strive for, you always want to make this a part, like you adopt the mantra of the work never stops, right? Because striving for growth prevents stagnation and maintains respect and desire. If your wife is always seeing you working on yourself, she's never going to get tired of that. She's never going to get tired of that. She will get tired of you sitting on the fucking couch watching football all the time and never doing anything to improve your life. Okay. Now I'm not saying don't watch football, but don't make your whole life around that and then never do anything for yourself to improve yourself. Okay. Respect as the foundation. Without respect, there can be no attraction, right? Women can't love a man that they don't respect. And so you have to increase your sexual market value enough to a place where she starts respecting you again, because only then can she be attracted to you and be in love with you. So you've got to earn respect, though. You can't demand respect. Because I've had guys tell me this over the years, like, how do I make my girl respect me? I'm like, we can't make her respect you. Like, respect is earned. So this consistent self-improvement and leadership that naturally builds respect over time. When she sees that you have your shit together, that you're a man on a mission, that you're always working on yourself, you're always working on, all this type of stuff, and you allow her to relax into her feminine, that naturally fosters respect. Okay. And that's essential for desire, because without respect, attraction and intimacy completely fades. Okay. And that's what we want at the end of the day. We want that genuine desire. And if she had genuine desire for you in the beginning and you've lost that along the way, I guarantee you've lost her respect along the way. Right. And that's why I'm constantly hounding guys to set the tone and lead, because that's the role in leadership, right? Women respect men who confidently lead themselves and the relationship. And you can't lead the relationship until you lead yourself first. So you got to start there, right? I had a guy yesterday I was chatting with on TikTok in the TikTok DMs. And this guy, I asked him, what his ideal situation would be. And his ideal situation was, well, I need her to get better so I can get better. And I'm like, wait, you need to wait for your wife to get better before you can start getting better? Why don't you just start getting better? That statement didn't make any damn sense to me. Like, you don't need to wait for her to start improving yourself, right? You take the lead in that area. You lead by example with that. Okay. That's how that works. If you're waiting for her to set the tone and lead in that area, you're asking her to be in her masculine energy, which fucks up polarity. Speaking of polarity, that's a big concept in this chapter. Polarity in relationships, the balance of masculine and feminine energies, right? Polarity fuels passion and attraction, right? Without it, everything fades, everything dies, okay? So you have to maintain leadership. And if you've lost it along the way, you've got to reclaim that. You've got to start setting the tone and leading again. Taking charge ensures that masculine energy stays intact. Okay. And you want to avoid over accommodation. So leading with strength prevents erosion and respect and polarity. So that's a big problem with nice guys have, is they become overly accommodating, and they start trying to walk on eggshells, trying to avoid any kind of tension, avoid any kind of arguments. If their wife asks them to do something that they really don't want to do, but they want to avoid a fight, they'll accommodate the request instead of setting a boundary and telling their wife no. Right. Well, that over accommodation, if she's able to get her way with you, she loses respect. I was one of my clients I was working with yesterday. That was one of the problems that caused him to be where he's at today, because years ago, he let his wife's parents move in with them, and he didn't really want that. Well, actually, he said that it sounded good in the beginning because they were originally coming down to help with their kids. They just had a baby, and the parents were moving down closer to help them with the kids. So he thought that was a good idea, but they never fucking left, right? They never fucking left. And then his wife, basically as a bargaining chip, his wife said, my parents, since they're moving in with us, my parents and I will handle all the chores around the house. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. So he's like, okay. And he let them take over all maintenance and chores around the house. And then several years later, they're like, what? You're so lazy. Like, you never do anything around here. And he's like, well, you told me to, right? Like, you told me not to do any chores around the house. So that builds up natural resentment. And I told him, I go, yeah, it's a funny thing, right? If women can manipulate us into doing what they say they want, they lose respect for us. So it's one of those things where you just have to understand that women don't know what they really want, that there's things that they respond to, and you got to understand, like, you have to be able to tell her no in those types of circumstances, and not allow yourself to be manipulated, because the more they can manipulate you, the more they lose respect for you, right? Whammon. And then they complain that we're manipulators. It's like, oh, women invented that shit. Women totally invented that shit. And then the final concept here is that consistency is key, right? You have to be consistent with this stuff. Consistency sustains improvement. Regular effort creates lasting momentum and progress. A big part of this too is like building this into a habit, right? You want to make fitness a habit. You want to make your financial leadership a habit. You want to make being social a habit, because if it's a habit, it's something that you don't have to think about anymore. Like, this is now a part of who you are, right? And then you'll naturally be consistent. At first, it's going to take work to build up those good habits, but the key is to be consistent with it, because if you're not consistent with it, if you do good with the finances for a couple of months and then fall off again, your wife can't trust that. She can't trust you leading in that area if you're not being consistent with it. So you have to be consistent. And that consistency also signals dedication, right? It shows your wife that self-improvement is a lifestyle, not just a phase. Now, one of the things that I'll tell guys is it's best to start working on this stuff and not tell your wife that you're working on this stuff, right? Now, she might be curious when you're holding a copy of Get Her to Fuck You Again, right? So if that's a issue for you, you might want to get the Kindle edition or get the Audible edition, but don't be scared that your wife might find the book, okay? Because all you have to do is just tell her, well, I'm working on myself, right? But the thing is, like, when a woman knows that you're working on self-improvement, she will test you more than she normally would, because she wants to make sure that these new changes that you're making are you, that they're a part of who you are, that you're being congruent. It's not just some, facade that you're putting out there. That's one of the big problems with pickup artistry, from the early 2000s, guys like Mystery and stuff like that, is they were doing these tricks, right? They were doing these tactics to get women to sleep with them, but it was all fake. It wasn't a part of who they were. And then when they really wanted a relationship, they couldn't fucking maintain that relationship because they didn't really have it built into them, So like, this has to become a part of who you are, or it's all going to fall flat. CW asks, so what about the women that resent you and seem to lose attraction in you because you are telling her no? Those are just toxic women. Well, that's one of the things I talk about in the book. If you are, if you're working on self-improvement and you're working on building your sexual market value, you're getting to a place where when you go out and you're chatting with women and women are like genuinely enjoying your company and they're flirting with you and stuff like that, that you're being an attractive guy. And so if your woman's not coming on board with that, now it's time to evaluate whether she's worth it or not, right? If you need to be the one that takes the lead in ending things, but a lot of guys will just rush to end things, and then they will never work on themselves, and then they'll get into the next relationship and have the same problem. So what I recommend is do all this stuff first, because then you're actually making a more educated assessment. You're like, man, this woman's just not getting on board. Like we talked about it on Monday, CW. We talked about the concept of a type 3 captain, which is the captain and her husband. And a lot of those types of women are really just looking for an enabler. They're looking for a guy that won't tell them no. And so when you start telling her no, and that builds more resentment, and that causes more fights, and she's losing more attraction because she's not getting her way with you anymore. Like those types of women, you got to cut loose. They literally are just toxic women, Hope that answers your question. And then let's see here. Magnetism through growth. So consistency and growth makes you more attractive and inspiring, and that's why a lot of this concept is leading by example. And that's why, like 9 times out of 10, when you start on this path of self-improvement, your wife's she's going to resist it at first, right? She's going to test you and see if she can, get her way with you, see if these changes are sticking. But the more she sees that this is the new you, the more she's going to go, oh shit, like this guy's increasing his sexual market value. I better step up my game. Brother David in Beer Club, who's been following my stuff for years. He's read like every book I've recommended. He's applied this information. He's actually changed his relationship with his wife completely around following all this stuff. And one of the things that he said in the beginning when he started working on this stuff was that his wife noticed that he was like losing all this weight. And she was like, I think you've lost enough weight. I think you've lost enough weight. And he's like, no, I haven't reached my goal yet. I am not at a healthy weight. I need to get down to this, whatever his goal was. And he told her, no, I'm going to keep going down this path. But she was afraid that he was losing all this weight and that she was not going to be able to keep up and not be able to keep him. And so she was like, okay, well, I guess I better start going for walks with him. Right. And she started going for walks with him. And then she was like, hey, I noticed you're always reading these books. What books do you recommend for women? Right. Like, does your podcast friend have any books for women? And so, I told him the books that Nurse Chick reads, because Nurse Chick reads, she's doing the same thing on her side. Nurse Chick reads The Proper Care and Feeding of Husbands by Dr. Laura Schlesinger, and Keys to the Kingdom by Allison. I can't think of what her last name is. Anyway, Keys to the Kingdom. Those 2 books, Nurse Chick reads on repeat. And so his wife started reading that stuff and started applying that stuff. And he's like, man, our relationship is better now than it was when we first got married, and it's all because he set the tone and inspired her to work on herself, by working on himself, by realizing that he can't change her. She naturally wanted to change herself. Right. So that's the goal. And you'll find that the more most guys, that will happen to them, right? There's a small percentage of guys where it doesn't work and their wives just won't get on board no matter what they do. Well, she's just a shitty wife. You know what I mean? She's just a shitty wife. And now that you've leveled up so far that you're like, okay, well, I can clearly do better. So fucking go do better and find a woman that's more aligned with your mission in life, right? She either gets on board or she doesn't. All right. Relatively short episode today. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you for bearing with me for the first few minutes of the show. It was pretty hard for me to put that out there, but she was my professional podcaster for the last almost 5 years. She would sit right here, right here next to me every episode. Every once in a while, she would sneeze or shake her collar or something, and it would interrupt the show. And I'd say, hey, I thought you were a professional podcaster. What are you doing? So she's always been here, and I'm going to miss her. Tune into the podcast on Friday. We are going to be going over chapter 5 in my friend AJ's book, Psychology of Motion, which that it's been a test of emotions this week for me, guys. But that one's going to be on the differences between emotional resilience and emotional durability. So definitely check out that episode. We could all use it, especially this week, guys. Yeah, Master Roshi says proper cared feeding and Keys to the Kingdom. Yes, yeah, for women, I definitely recommend those books for women. Hey, what's going on, brother? Good to see you here. All right. Hey, Nurse Chick's in the house. Nurse Chick's had a rough night. She's been on call, so she's been, in and out of the house like all night. I'm gonna give her this one.
I'm so naughty.
She is.
I'm gonna come.
Oh, I will. All right, guys, that's all I got. Tune into the podcast on Friday, and we'll see you there.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.